Vi ska nu lyssna på ännu en inspelad presentation som handlar om RFID-märkning av textilier. Och det är Christina Jönsson och Lisa Schwarz Bour som kommer att hålla den. Och sen kommer vi ha frågor efteråt. Varsågoda.
Good afternoon. My name is Christina Jönsson. I will, together with my colleague Lisa Bour, present some of our research related to digital information carriers and their use in textiles. We begin with the landscape of legislation and policy instrument and note that we have a number of important parts here. We have the REACH legislation concerning chemicals. We have the circular economy package, and in 2018 there was a communication from the Commission around digital information carrier and their potential use to transfer information regarding chemical content in the circular economy.
So what is really the challenge around textiles? Well, as we all know, the garments that we wear are fairly complex. There are many kinds of fibers included in only one garment. And of course, having a very complex material stream, this will mean that there is no such thing as a one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to recycling technologies. Rather, there will be a puzzle of different recycling technologies that need to come into scale in order for us to handle our materials in a resource-efficient way.
And when it comes to be compliant in terms of chemical content, we see that in general there is a low competence in regard to chemicals and chemistry, a low and insufficient knowledge regarding the chemical content, insufficient transfer of information related to chemical content, and also on a global scale, not a harmonized situation in terms of the legislation, which makes this area difficult. And if we look then at the waste management, we see that collected textile waste comes in and we have a sorting that is done manually, which makes that process quite ineffective. And we have no information forwarded relating to the garment specifics or either the chemical content. And information is always a key. So when the waste materials goes to the recycling routes and we have, for instance, mechanical recycling, it's important to have information about the fiber type and the fiber blends, as well as the construction of the material, since woven and knit fabric behave quite differently. And the quality of the input materials determines the quality of the output, but also the chemistry in the input materials will stay and be part of the output materials. But even for chemical processing of the material, we need information in order to handle the bulk of the material. And we know that we would increase the efficiency of the recycling processes if we would have better understanding of the chemical content. So there is a prerequisite for circulating textiles and especially an information need. Correct information on fiber type and types and fiber quality as well as fiber construction is crucial. Correct information on selected upstream processes and also the chemical content is crucial. If we have that information, then we can direct the material to the most suitable recycling method and enable effectiveness in the processing steps. We can also find the most suitable application for the secondary raw material. But also we need to consider which chemistry is crucial and who have that information, what kind of format would we like to pass the information on? And these are questions that we have been looking into, and we see that there is a need to be able to handle quite complex information, and where we think that digital information carrier are a potential solution because they can handle information about technical data and also history. And here we have an implemented tag into a garment which have been tested in a project which Lisa will describe later.
So going into digital information carriers a little bit more in detail, on the screen here we have both 2D codes and RFID data carriers. We see a QR code, a barcode, a data matrix, but also a standard RFID tag. And to the right, we see a standard tag on the top, and this is the type that is usually integrated into the hang tags that we can find in stores today. And these are really different data carriers carrying the exact same information, but the use of them is different, and the efficiency of using the different tags can vary as well. So RFID is short for radio frequency identification, and RFID is an electronic barcode, but it doesn't have to be seen to be read. So that is a clear difference compared to a QR code. It is also possible to read many tags at the same time, so that you would, for example, be able to read an entire bag of textiles all at once. It's possible to read at a very high speed and also at a fairly long distance. And so also going into a little bit on the difference between RFID and NFC that many probably have heard about. So NFC is short for near field communication. And the difference here is really that NFC is workable, has much shorter reading distances. NFC also has a two-way communication, whereas RFID is a one-way communication. When talking about RFID tags, there is one issue that comes up in the RoHS directive, because since July 22nd, 2019, the RoHS directive includes a category 11, catch-all category, which also then includes passive RFID tags. And what this does, that it implies the need for CE marking of a garment that has an integrated RFID tag. And to discuss this a little bit more in detail, Christina and I had a meeting with the Commission, DG Environment, Waste Management and Secondary Materials in the summer of 2019. And here we explained how we are working on a circular economy and how data sharing can actually help us so much in achieving a resource efficiency and to work towards a circular textile economy. The Swedish Chemicals Agency also addressed this issue in a meeting with the Commission in late 2019, but as of yet, there is no change in the Commission's standpoint relating to passive RFIDs in garments. Also important to mention here is the ongoing discussion that relates to product passports. This discussion is being held on a national level as well as on a European level, and product passports are also mentioned in the Eco Design Directive. And what is being addressed here is both circularity as well as the need for non-toxic materials and product streams. RISE is hosting a project called TextIT, and this is an initiative where we are focusing on a system for information access and traceability based on digital information carriers in the form of RFID. And we have included in our consortium both large producers and small producers, because it is very important for us to have the viewpoint of both big and small. We are also lucky enough to have both GS1 and SIS as partners, and are also including trade or associations, textile producers, and workwear brands. And our aim here is to work towards one common system that will work as a key enabler for closing the loops and allowing effective sorting of textile materials. And this is for reuse as well as for material recycling, because it is very important for us that we have a technology that is actually a benefit for all actors in the value chain and not just for end of life, for example. And one of the key focuses that we have in this project is working towards standards and working with standardization. And this is really a key deliverable. And I will come into that a little bit more later.
We can just mention then that we have had focus to discuss data and information and come to the conclusion that we need information on different levels. So we have been looking into data and information needs related to company level, production level, product level, material level, chemical level, and also including information regarding labeling and certification.
And talking about standards, it is very important to work with a common system for structuring information in order for us to be able to fully utilize the technology, because it really is a technology that has a large number of possible applications, and the focus and the area of interest will differ among value chain stakeholders, but the technology can really adapt to that, and we see that there will be benefits throughout the value chain in using this technology. Important aspects for us in our work has been looking at international standardization, to look at a set terminology so that we know what we are talking about and so that everyone will know what kind of information it is that we are requesting. Looking at a global RFID system, also looking at information management, access rights, as well as, of course, data security and privacy issues. And as Ulf has talked about before, SIS started Textila miljöaspekter, where we have now a terminology draft that was sent to ISO. This was balloted through just before the holidays this year. And so the ISO group, working group 35, has now started textile environmental aspects on ISO level. And this is a really good opportunity to continue the work and to work on standards for transparency and data sharing. And here we see that Sweden and all of the work that has been done by all Swedish actors in this area, that we really have a good thing to bring forward also on an international level. And I would just like to finish this presentation by saying that we are really happy about the great teamwork that we have had with both SIS and all of the industry partners that have been involved. And we are really looking forward to moving further with this work in 2021 as well. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, Christina and Lisa.